never find out our halo.
What is up, guys? You got Tone here, coach of the Maine Red Clawitzers, bringing you my week 3 battle of season 3 of the IBL. This week we are up against Lynx Forte, coach of the South Florida Bulus. Now, we are coming off of a loss in our last match against the Marlboro Mudsdales 3-0, so we are 1-1, trying to rebound after a pretty tough loss, which I felt as though I prepped adequately for, but that's in the past. This is now. So here you see our teams for both of us on the screen. My team is here on the left and my opponent's team is on the right. And you notice about my opponent's team, it is very, very fast, hard-hitting, hyper offensive sort of style, as its only real defensive Pokemon, so to speak, is his basically his Vaporeon, his Bronzong, and like defensive Granbull, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is like very, very offensive. Pelipper to an extent, yes, too, but basically his team is very, very offensive, and I'm gonna do my best to try to counteract all of his hard-hitting mons and whatnot. There are Pokemon in which I do struggle with. Mostly the main Pokemon I struggle with my team at least, is definitely the Circuitry, considering my ground resist, my electric resist is limited to Thunderous T, which can't take an HP Ice, and Nidoqueen, which also cannot take an HP Ice. So I won't be surprised if Lynx ends up bringing the Circuitry in our battle. So that is pretty much it in terms of his team. I'm just going to go over the team that I brought against Lynx Forte and the South Florida Bulus. So first Pokemon you see here, we have Caltrops, the Ferrothorn rocking leftovers with Leech Seed, Knockoff, Power Whip, and Gyro Ball. Just rocking a fully physically defensive set as I can switch him. This is my response to his Weavile, Zygarde 10%, his Kabutops. Pretty much checks most of his physical attackers. Knockoff is here, so I'm not completely switch fodder for that Bronzong. Something crazy I actually was deciding on doing was running HP Fire on my Ferrothorn so I can deal with the Kartana, as HP Fire does do 99% minimum if he's fully offensive. So it was pretty funny, but I held off, went for Knockoff, Leech Seed for the passive recovery to go along with leftovers. Not really much to say about that, just a very substandard physically defensive set here. Next up here we have Inanna, our Starmie, rocking a pretty similar set to last week, with the exception of I'm running max speed as opposed to slightly less speed, as I want to at least speed tie with a Jolly max speed, Zygarde 10%. I have Rapid Spin Recover, Scald, and Thunderbolt. I was really debating the last move whether I wanted Thunderbolt for like the Vaporeon or HP Fire for the Kartana and whatnot, but overall I decided to go with Thunderbolt because of the fact that I didn't want to get overwhelmed by his Rain team. Pelipper, Kabutops can be problematic, and my Ferrothorn does get weakened, so I figured bring Thunderbolt for the Vaporeon, so I'm not completely switch fodder for that. I consider Toxic at the same time too, but you see on my next Pokemon I didn't really need Toxic all that much. Scald for potential burns and whatnot, and Rapid Spin to keep hazards off my side of the field. So pretty standard utility Starmie here. Next up, the debut of Susume Bachi, our Shuckleberry Nidoqueen, with Toxic Spikes, Earth Power, Flamethrower, and Ice Beam. This is basically another one of my checks to Zygarde 10%, and it's also my only response to prevent his Circuitry from clicking Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, whatever. Running a tankier set. I didn't really need Sludge Wave on my Nidoqueen because it only hit his Granbull super effectively, and Granbull doesn't have the highest special defense. Unless he brings like an AV Granbull, but I'm not really expecting Granbull that much in this battle, so I forewent Sludge Wave for Earth Power, Flamethrower for the Kartana, the Bronzong, and Ice Beam lets me revenge kill non-Yachi Zygarde 10%. Running a tanky set, 12 speed lets me outspeed. If he brings like an Adamant Max Speed Granbull, I can outspeed that. The rest is just HP and special attack, modest nature, hit as hard as possible. So that is my Nidoqueen set. Next up we have Navi, our Clefable, rocking Stealth Rock, Soft Boil, Moonblast, and Flamethrower, with a sort of a mixed defensive spread here. The investment with my Clefable ensures that I can take a Thunderbolt from a non-setup. I can take two Thunderbolts from a non-setup circuitry. Stealth Rock is Stealth Rock, obviously wears down its Weavile, all of its offensive mons. Soft Boil to keep it healthy, Moonblast for Stab, Flamethrower for the Bronzong and the Kartana. So yeah, like I said, this is my response, or my check at least, to Circuitry. I debated between Magikarp. I probably should have ran Unaware, just in case he was Tail Glow Circuitry. But if it comes back to bite me in the butt, that's on me entirely. So yeah, that is my Clefable set. Next up we have Quetzalcoatl, our Yachi Berry Thunderous Therian with Agility, Thunderbolt, HP Ice, and Brick Break. So this is kind of pretty much the only offense you'll be seeing on this team, considering everything else is very, very bulky offensive, so to speak. Agility, I can outspeed his faster mons. Yachi Berry lets me take a super effective ice attack from like a Weavile, or Ice Beam from Vaporeon, whatever. Thunderbolt for Stab, HP Ice, hits the Zygarde 10%. And Brick Break, even with a timid nature, Brick Break one-shots Weavile that's not Chople Berry, which is the main reason why I have Brick Break on this set. Enough speed to outspeed a Jolly Max Speed Darmanitan, barring he's not Choice Scarf, max special attack, and the rest is balanced out between its HP and defenses to balance that out as well. And last but not least, we have Arnold the Turtonator with a very unique set of Rest, Sleep Talk, Dragon Pulse, and Flamethrower, rocking physically defensive, like pretty much my other mons. So Turtonator actually is my response. Oh, it's my check actually to stuff like the Darmanitan, stuff like Kartana as a backup check. And that's pretty much it. But yeah, it's not really checking much, but at the same time, I didn't want to be overwhelmed by Darmanitan just clicking Flare Blitz against my entire team. So I felt as though defensive Turtonator, come in, take a Flare Blitz, whatever. Earthquake can still potentially 2-hit KO me, but I have Rest and Sleep Talk to keep it healthy. And the combination of Dragon Pulse plus Flamethrower hits his entire team pretty hard, so that is pretty much the team I am bringing against Lynx Forte and his South Florida Bulus. So with that all being said, I'm going to just skip right over to the battle, so be right back. Alright, so here we are with my week 3 battle of season 3 of the IBL against Lynx Forte and his South Florida Bulus. So I predicted most of his team to come, and unfortunately I didn't want to see Circuitry, but like I said in the team builder, I didn't have much of a response for Circuitry other than trying to preserve Nidoqueen. He did bring the Kabutops, which I didn't really expect. I was expecting something along the lines of Weavile, stuff like that, and him trying to overwhelm me with his pretty much sort of hyper offensive team. But Kabutops could also Rapid Spin and all that other stuff if I try to Spike Stack against him as my response. But of course, I'm not running spikes on my Ferrothorn. It's just Stealth Rock, Celebi, plus Toxic Spikes on the Nidoqueen. So in my case, I decided to lead off with my Turtonator, mainly because I expected him to lead off with Darmanitan, just to see what I would lead with, and if the matchup is not favorable, he would just U-turn out. So I figured Turtonator would be my best option, just to scout for whatever coverage moves Darmanitan might have. So with that being said, I am going to start the battle here. So As you see, he ends up leading off with his Kartana, which I didn't really expect, but I didn't mind either way. So, I'm going to lead off with Arnold, the Turtonator, and all that good stuff. So, he leads off with his Kartana, and I'm like, okay, that's perfect. Now, I know he's not going to stay in on the Flamethrower, so I'm going to predict turn 1 for him to go out to switch, and I'm going to go for a Dragon Pulse as he goes into Skunk Tank here. Pretty decent middle ground play. I guess he was just scouting for what I might do. And even though this is uninvested, that still did a good hefty chunk. Now, I need his Turtonator around for the rest of my, for our Manitan. So I made probably a questionable switch, but to my Nidoqueen as he goes for the Dark Pulse. But to be perfectly honest, I didn't really have much for Skunk Tank because everything else on my team was so important. Now here I decided to stay in. I'm like, okay, I can at least take out the Skunk Tank with a Flamethrower here, as it goes for Dark Pulse again. But unfortunately, I get flinched. So now I'm actually forced to sack off my Nidoqueen because if I went to Clefable there, he could have predicted me out for Sludge Bomb. So down goes my Nidoqueen, and I'm like, yep, I pretty much confirmed this right here and then that I lose to Circuitry now. So I have to go into my Quetzalcoatl here and just click Thunderbolt against his team. So he makes a switch and he goes out into his Bronzong here. Another middle ground play. I didn't really have much that could switch into a Thunderbolt other than Circuitry, but he knew Circuitry beats him and that does a crap ton of damage even though I am not Life Orb. So he pops with the leftovers. I could have stayed in, but at the same time, I don't know what he plans on doing. So I want to make the read and go back into my Turtonator here, just to scout what he might do as he reveals the Psychic. So I could have went to Starmie there, but at the same time, there was a probability of him not being physical in the first place. So I get the leftovers recovery here. My leftovers pop before him, so I guarantee I'm faster. So I get up a free Flamethrower no matter what, because even if he goes to Kaboot, he can't really go into anything bar the Darmanitan. And his Flamethrower is almost going to take him out here as he goes for his Stealth Rock, which pressures my Turtonator and my Thundurus, which does suck, and forces my Starmie to Rapid Spin later on in the match. So he's either going to let this Bronzong go down or make a hard read into the Darmanitan. In any case, I'm just going to click Flamethrower no matter what, just in case he decides to switch out. But he does decide to sack off the Bronzong here to the next Flamethrower, as it's pretty much done its job for Lynx in terms of getting rocks up on my side of the field. So Turtonator picks up a kill in this matchup. And the leftovers keeping my Turtonator relatively healthy for the Darmanitan and for the Kartana, as is actually a pretty decent check, and he goes into Darmanitan right here. So here I decided to go for Rest, just to scout and see what he might do, and he goes for the Zen Headbutt, which I assume he was for the Nidoqueen. That's my guess at least. So I go for Rest here, just to scout and see what he might do. So now I'm back at full HP, and this turn I have no reason not to click Sleep Talk, as he is going to switch out his Darmanitan. I'm assuming it's Scarf, as he goes into his Kabutops. So I'm going to go for the Sleep Talk here, and hopefully I would get a Dragon Pulse at this point in time. Excuse me. But I instead get the Flamethrower, and of course Kabutops 4 times resist Flamethrower. Maybe I could have gotten a burn, but unfortunately I don't. Not going to stay in, so my play is to go hard into my Kabutops, my Ferrothorn, as it does switch on Kabutops fairly easily, as he is going to go for the safe knockoff here. So he's going to remove my Ferrothorn's leftovers and take some Iron Barb's damage. So at this point here, I could have just went for Power Whip here, but I'm expecting him to go into the Kartana, so I'm going to make a play and go for a knockoff myself, as he does go out into that Kartana here. And I go for the knockoff here, and reveals that he is a Focus Sash variant. So now here I make the aggressive switch into my Starmie, because I didn't want these rocks gone. And I was like, if he Leaf Blades me here, then he got me good. So I take the Stealth Rock damage, and he goes for the Swords Dance. So he's probably thinking that I'm like an HP Fire variant. So I either go for rocks, or let this thing go down. If I had HP Fire, I would have went for it, but alas I don't. So I go for the Rapid Spin just to make sure I get the rocks up off the field. Knowing him, he probably had some investment, who knows. But I'm going to let Starmie go down here, unfortunately, to the Leaf Blade here. I know I can't take one, especially he's at +2. The crit definitely did not matter. It's a Kartana. So down goes my Starmie, and he actually gets the speed boost, so he IV'd his Kartana in a way so it can take a Leaf Blade, so he can get a speed boost instead of an attack boost. He goes for his Sacred Sword, and that's +2. So I'm going for Sleep Talk here. Hopefully I would get Flamethrower here, but unfortunately for me I ended up getting Rest, which sucks. So this actually gives him an extra turn to get off more damage on my Kartana. But luckily for me, Turtonator cannot be crit unless it's Mold Breaker, which it's not. So he goes for Sacred Sword again just for damage, and I wake up this turn. I'm just going to click Flamethrower, and down goes the Kartana to the Turtonator. So Turtonator already picking up 2 kills in the match. So at least we're back even 4-4, but it's still looking like Xurkitree is going to destroy my face as he goes out into the Skunk Tank here. I need Turtonator for the Darmanitan here. I could have sacked it off, but I decided to go hard into my Clefable here, and he makes that prediction, and he goes for the Sludge Bomb. The minute I saw Dark Pulse, I already assumed they had Flamethrower for my Ferrothorn, so I figured I'd sack off the most expendable mon at this point. If my Clefable was unaware, I would have actually sacked off Turtonator and then gone into Clefable. I would have sacked off Turtonator, then gone into Thundurus, and click Thunderbolt, as he takes out my Clefable here with the next Sludge Bomb, which sucks because if I didn't get flinched by the Nidoqueen, the Skunk Tank wouldn't even be around to get another kill. But I do go into my Quetzalcoatl here, I do click Thunderbolt, and I take out the Skunk Tank at least. But unfortunately for me, like I said earlier, no Nidoqueen means it's becoming a lot easier for him to go for a Xurkitree sweep, but he goes into his Darmanitan here. I still have my Turtonator in the back, so I'm going to hard switch into my Turtonator. If he has Earthquake here, then he got me. But he goes for the Fire Punch here. I 4 times resist that, and yep, that's damage. Nice and delicious damage. But nonetheless here, I decide I'm going to go for a Rest again because Turtonator can actually, it deals with Darmanitan and it checks the Kabutops, even though Stone Edge did 2 a KO. So he makes a play and goes into Xurkitree as I go for the Rest. So what I actually could have did there, instead of going for Rest, I could have went straight for the Dragon Pulse just for damage. And scouted for like Scarf variant or whatnot. But I'm going to switch out here and I'm going to go into my Ferrothorn. As he predicts me, well, he doesn't really predict me, he just goes for a Tail Glow here and hope, because he knew he could take a Dragon Pulse from my Turtonator, especially considering I'm not invested. So I'm going to go for the Power Whip here as he's going to bust out the Electric Z move. I was thinking it was Gigavolt Havoc, but it wasn't. He was Z Electric Terrain. So now he's at +3 speed, +3 special attack, and now +1 speed as I go for the Power Whip this turn, and I am very glad I did, because if I went for knockoff here, I definitely wouldn't have done as much damage as I would have. That's some clean damage. So I decided to sack off my Ferrothorn here to Thunderbolt at the +3 Thunderbolt and Electric Terrain. I know my Ferrothorn wasn't going to survive. So down goes my Ferrothorn. He's now at +4 special attack, and the only way I can win now is if I have to go to my Thundurus. I gotta click Thunderbolt. It's my strongest option against his Xurkitree. And I have to live in HP Ice. So he goes for the HP Ice. I have my Yachi Berry. He's +4 though. So I'm like, can I live? I live on 6. Oh my god, thank the Lord. So like, can I please take out the Xurkitree though? Can I at least do that much? No, I couldn't. And that's essentially the game. As Xurkitree is just going to take out my Thundurus with the HP Ice. I could have arguably went for Agility there just to make sure I outsped the Xurkitree, but even if I take out the Xurkitree, he probably had Aqua Jet on the Kabutops. And all I have left is a sleeping Turtonator, which is going to go down to a +5 Thunderbolt in electric terrain. So that is going to be the game. We end up losing 3-0 to the South Florida Bulus, which does suck, but at the same time, I do not mind that much, especially considering how much work Terminator put in this battle. But we are unfortunately now 1-2, a differential of -3. GG to Lynx. There wasn't really much hacks. The Needle Queen Dark Pulse Flinch did suck, but even so, the damage it took from the Dark Pulse in the first place would have put it in range of HPI to my circuitry, and I probably should have went unaware on my Clefable, but it would have forced me to run like Moonlight instead of Soft Boiled. But either way, we do lose 3-0. There's no real way to play around it. I felt as though I played the best I could. I did think I predicted well and all that stuff, but I'm not gonna make a big scene out of this. A loss is a loss. I take it with pride. So yeah, we are 1-2, -3 differential. We're on a 2-game losing streak. We play Deebs and the Orlando Mudkips in the next battle, so I hope you guys are looking forward to that. If you guys did enjoy this battle, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. My next video will be, after this, there will be my MPL Season 4 Week 4 battle against the San Francisco 49tails, which will probably be going up sometime on Tuesday, hopefully. So be sure to look out for that. But until then, I'm going to get the heck out of here. I hope you guys did enjoy the battle nonetheless. And until the next time, my name is Anthony, aka Tone, and I'm going to catch you guys on the flip side. Later.